Giants Nation. We in the building one time. What's up, y'all? I go by the name of Awthentik. You now tuned into the best division in football, featuring your boys Awthentik and The Beard, presented by All or Nothing Studios. Hope everybody had a fantastic week, man. This week felt like it was like 3 months long with that loss. We're now a week away, or a week from Thursday's loss to the Washington football team. I know The Beard has had a fantastic week, probably been packaging up boxes, all smiling all week from ear to ear about his Washington football team. But y'all know what it is, man. Thursdays, we do these previews coming up. We got 3 big games in the NFC East, and we got 1 big game tonight, Thursday night, with the Houston Texans and the Carolina Panthers, who are looking very impressive at 2-0 right now. Well, without further ado, man, let me bring in the left side to my strong side, my brother, The Beard, one time. What's up, my G? What's good?
What's going on, brother? How you doing today, my man? How's everybody in the chat doing?
You know, can't complain,
getting ready
man.
for some football. I'm excited as per usual. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty stoked, man. I had to rock the Washington and the Giants rivalry t-shirt.
Oh yeah, you brought that one back.
Yeah, I brought this one back. I had to remind myself because I forgot on Tuesday to give a big shout out to Bobby Mitchell, whose jersey number was retired by the Washington football team. He was the first African American to ever play for the organization. So big shout out to Bobby Mitchell, his legacy, his family. Shout out to the Washington organization. Shout out to Ron Rivera, because after the game, that was the first thing he talked about. So I thought that was really, really dope of him. So I'm excited. We got a tough matchup this week for Washington. Not as easy as the Giants.
to say the least, right?
But Cowboys and Eagles are playing each other, so somebody's going to come out that game 1-2. So, it's been a great start to the season. Some surprises, some things you thought were going to happen. We've had some great primetime games.
Facts.
That Monday Night Football game was even interesting because the Lions were up, 3, and then Green Bay came back. And then you had the Ravens and the Chiefs game, which was bananas. So
Great game, man. Shout out to Lamar Jackson to get that monkey off his back.
Yeah, man.
That's major for him.
Authentik and The Beard are big Lamar Jackson supporters.
Yes.
There's no Lamar Jackson slander allowed in these neck of the woods. So, I'm excited to talk about these games, man. It's a lot to look forward to. I got my fantasy lineups already set for tonight.
Man, we've been struggling.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. It's bounce back week. It's back week.
We giving some good suggestions on the parlay for sure, but as far as our lineup goes, man, we've been in struggle mode. That's a fact.
Yes, so I'm going to go ahead and say some hellos and shout-outs to the lovely people in the chat.
Let's get it.
Holding it down for us, as always, is Sunday. I feel like singing like, it's easy like Sunday morning.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying?
Hitting them notes, man. You got some auto-tune over there, man?
Nah, you know what I'm saying? I can carry a note or two, maybe
No,
2.
I don't notice.
Big shout out to the homie Joe Deals,
What
our
up, Joe
resident
Deals?
Chicago Bears fan. And Edward, you hit it,
The
brother.
Bears.
It is an important week 3 coming for sure.
Big facts.
Big shout out to Max Webster.
Hey,
What's going
Max
on,
Webster
Max?
in the
Great to
building,
see
bro.
you, brother. Hope
Been a
you're
minute,
doing
bro.
well. Josh is in the building.
Hey, what up,
right.
Josh? What up?
All right. Glock is in the building. Bark
Yeah.
Nasty's in the building.
What up,
Mac,
Bark? How
the
you living?
Giants fan, is in the
Hey,
building.
Mac in the building one time. What up, fam? Y'all go sub up to Mac the Giants fan, man, one time.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mini Guy and my man Lucas checking in from Australia. We got back-to-back international. We got Lucas checking in from Australia, David checking in from Ireland. So
Hey.
shout out to our international viewers. We appreciate it.
You got the
for
Notre Dame
sure.
hat on today. I see that joint looking real fresh.
Yeah. Big shout out to the homie Cernock.
Oh, look at the
Cernoc's
timing.
connection.
Impeccable timing. Oh, my God. Shout out Cernock in the building one time. It's
Cernock
Texans
hooked
going
me
at
up
it tonight.
With this vicious Notre Dame hat. If y'all
Clean.
looking for some dope vintage gear, sports, non-sports, anything, hats, shirts, sweaters, jackets, anything, definitely check out my man Cernock's Connection. He's on Twitter, Instagram. He's on Whatnot, so he's doing sports auctions on there with the clothing. So it's definitely something you guys should check out for sure. He's got a dope Giants hat he's working on right now, also. So
hey, I might need to snag that up off him.
And yes, the David Mills era does start tonight. We're going to touch
sure
base
does. Definitely going to talk about that
for sure. Oh, big shout out to Nerd Cage in the building.
Yo, what up, Nerd Cage live in the building? Y'all make sure to go sub up the Nerd Cage, man. Dope channel, man. For sure. Oh, Wolves says he wants his howl. Oh, I got to get you the howl. We working on it. I didn't see you last week, so I kind of forgot about you. I got you on the howl. Oh, Wolves in the building one time.
Jason Ferris says everybody loves Lamar. Heard he hit his hip on the flip into the end zone. That was just a rumor. He was actually just mispracticed with a stomach bug.
So the media would run with that. They would run with that on my man Lamar Jackson one time. And everybody does not love Lamar like Raymond for sure. But there's a bunch of hate on Twitter for Lamar, man.
That's a good one.
Facts.
And shout out to the homie Kyle Key in the building. We got a couple Houston Texans fans in the building
with
today.
The Oilers vibes, man. Them uniforms looking fresh in that profile pic right there. I like that.
Yeah, that's DeAndre Hopkins in the throwback Oilers uniform right there.
That's fresh.
Marcus in the building. That's a new name,
Marcus?
new face.
G-man.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you
welcome,
for joining
brother.
us.
Welcome.
We appreciate it. Kolkowski's in the building. What's going on?
Hey, what up, Big Mark? What up, fam? How you living?
Hey, Nate, are you not a fan of the Fighting Irish? Because we hold it down for Notre Dame in these parts, sir.
This is facts. And Entertainer, I know he doesn't do a lot of college football, but he's a Notre Dame fan as well.
Yes. And then big shout out to Alexis says, what up, fam? We getting this dub, Big Blue for life. Let's go.
You already know, Giants Nation in the building. Appreciate you pulling up, Alexis.
Mm-hmm. Football.
We ready?
We ready.
All right, man, let's get into it, man.
Hype.
I swear this joint sound like a nice watch, J. Cole, a little bit to me.
Yes,
every time I play it, I'll be thinking nice watch. Well, man, let's get into this first matchup, man. The Cowboys are coming off a game-winning field goal versus the LA Chargers, where kicker Greg Zuerlein was 2 for 2 after missing an extra point and a few field goals week 1 versus the Bucs. Dak Prescott added another game-winning drive to his cliff notes as the Cowboys got back to the running game in a major way. Zeke Elliott had 16 carries for 71 yards and 1 touchdown. Your boy, the Beard, Tony Pollard, had 13 rushes for 109 yards and 1 touchdown. Dak Prescott wasn't in his normal 400-yard fashion, but he finished the day 23 of 27 with 237 yards, 0 touchdowns. Kind of interesting. 1 interception. He was also sacked twice on the day. With both quarterbacks in this matchup not having their greatest performance last week, what do you think, or who do you think has the advantage in this NFC East matchup on Monday night between the Eagles and the Jerry Jones-led Dallas Cowboys?
It's going to be interesting. I did that on a beat drop. That was tight.
I like that.
So,
that was fire,
it depends. It depends on which Dallas team is going to come out, which Dallas offense is going to come out, because you saw that they were able to completely change their offensive game plan in week 2, and they decided to go with a little bit more of a run-heavy offense, and they utilized Tony Pollard and Zeke very well together. Not quite thunder and lightning, but you get the idea. So, it's definitely something to think about, because Philadelphia's defense is really good. They have the 5th best defense so far through 2 games. They have the 3rd best pass defense, but 18th best rushing defense. So it might be best for Dallas to kind of utilize that run game first before they start going to the crazy, air brigade of CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. But we also got to think about how is Amari Cooper going to be feeling, because, he got banged up with the rib situation in last week's game.
That's going to be major.
He's kind of like on that day-to-day situation for sure. Definitely interested to see how that will go. Trayvon Diggs for the Cowboys defensively has been crazy so far.
Nice interception last week, man.
Yeah, he's looking better and better week in and week out.
I like the new number on him too, man. I like the single-digit number on him in this secondary. He's one player I'm digging that. I think he's wearing number 7, I believe. Jones looking pretty fresh, man.
Yep. looking pretty good in the 7. And then obviously we're going to talk a little bit about Micah Parsons because Gregory is back, D-end, back on the line for the Cowboys. So it'll be interesting to see how the Cowboys are going to utilize Micah Parsons in this game. Are they going to put him down, hand in the ground? They're going to bring him back. I mean, he played so well last week in that position with his hand on the ground. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what they do.
I think you have to play him on the line. Yeah. I think it's important you play him on the line. He had 4 quarterback hits last week. He's got 9 tackles in 2 games. And I was watching some interview that they had online with Micah Parsons, who looks like a goon, by the way. He was like rough, no shape up. I think he had on like one of them do-rags that don't tie up. He said, Jalen Hurts is on the hit list now too, and I'm looking to be like the Terminator out there. Which Terminator he talking about? I don't know. I don't know which Terminator. But when I think about the Terminator I'm thinking about right now, I'm thinking about the liquid Terminator. You remember when the liquid Terminator was chasing after the car like this? That's the Terminator I'm thinking about. I'm not thinking about Arnold Schwarzenegger Terminator 2 vibes. I'm thinking about that dude. Man, might have been his only movie. Oh, shout out Benny in the building one time. What's up, fam? But yeah, I mean, I think the defense, you brought up some good points here because the Dallas Cowboys being able to run the ball, that might help their defense. And I only know one Allende on this whole planet. I hope that's the Allende I know from around the way. What's up, fam? I hope that's you. But, I think that the running game does help their defense a bit. You get to control the clock a little bit more. You're not looking at this offense just throwing the ball, slinging it around. And the awesome thing about the Cowboys offense, too, is that CeeDee Lamb was still able to really get off in this passing game. He was the only one I felt like that really got off in the passing game. I think he had 9 targets in this game. 9 targets, 8 receptions, 81 yards. The Cowboys were 6 of 10 on 3rd down, too, versus the Chargers. I thought that was a really impressive stat, coming out of a game where a lot of people had picked the Chargers to beat the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, 2 games now in a row, the Cowboys have showed up. They showed up against the Bucs heavy. We saw the offensive onslaught that they can produce on the field. A lot of down the field throwing, 400-plus yards for Dak Prescott. Didn't miss a beat from injury, being out of the Cowboys lineup for so long, came back, really put up those numbers. And I like what I saw from Kellen Moore in this game in week 2 to adjust to go to the running game. They're showing you they can beat you in a multitude of ways, which a lot of teams can't do. My New York Giants still trying to figure out what the identity even is on offense outside of Daniel Jones being the leading rusher every game. We're trying to figure out what we can do, but the Cowboys seem like they could beat you in a bunch of different ways. The defense is definitely much improved under Quinn. This game to me, like, this is a prove-it game for the Cowboys. It's if they can go out here and handle the Eagles, the Cowboys are a serious squad that could really make a playoff run this year and maybe get deep into the playoffs this year.
It's definitely an interesting beginning to the season because, like we said when we first started tonight, like one of these teams is going to be 1-2 now. Now, if it's the Eagles at 1-2, it's kind of where most of us had thought they were going to be at this juncture in the season, right? But if the Cowboys are 1-2, that's a big story. As fans of teams in the NFC East, knowing the Cowboys' schedule heading, further down the road, for them to catch an early L like this with the easier strength of schedule that they have compared to everybody else in the division would be huge for a la Washington football team, New York Giants, etc. So that would be very important. What's interesting and surprising to me is that a lot of these stats, obviously, we're only 2 weeks in, but this is what we have to deal with. These are the numbers that we have. So, you kind of have to base things off of those numbers right now to a certain extent. And the Cowboys' rush defense is actually the 5th best in the league after 2 weeks.
That's interesting.
And so, the Eagles, they're looking to get some yards on the ground, whether it's Jalen Hurts, either by design or by eluding the pressure, or if it's Miles Sanders. And I was telling Authentic, last 2 games, Miles Sanders has been a Cowboy killer, and I ain't talking about the Marlboro Reds. You know what I'm saying? It's 240 total yards and 2 touchdowns in the last 2 meetings against the Dallas Cowboys is Miles Sanders. And that's with a coaching staff that they ain't even know how to use Miles Sanders. So now we got,
Peterson
somebody
struggled using Miles Sanders the whole time.
Yeah, it used to kill us. Every week we get on the show. Miles Sanders 11 carries.
Right.
And he would break
90
one for like
yards.
60, and then you'd never see him again. I
Yeah,
never
that's
understood
facts.
that. So the matchup here is really interesting, and I think it's great that this is a Monday Night Football game because, I feel like everything's a little bit different when you play in these primetime games. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know that it might not necessarily be different for the players, but to a certain extent it is because you know that you playing right now prime time. You know what I'm saying?
All the lights, everybody in the country watching you. This is where a lot of people who are outside of your market going to gauge your team and see what you're really about. Now, I like that you talked about Miles Sanders because when you look at the last game that the Eagles played in, Jalen Hurts was pretty much the entire offense. Last week, 12 of 23, which the completion percentage is back down to that bogus completion percentage he had in his first couple of games last season. But he had 190 yards passing. I want to say 80 yards or 85 yards came on that bomb to Quez Watkins. So you're looking at, 22 passes only got him about 100 yards in that game. But he did have 10 rushes for 82 yards and a touchdown. Ended the day with 272 total yards, and he wasn't sacked one time. We talked about this with these mobile quarterbacks, man, being able to extend plays, escape from the pocket. They're making your offensive line look a lot better. I saw Max Kellerman talking about this with the Chiefs. It's like, you're trying to grade the Chiefs' offensive line, but at the end of the day, they got Patrick Mahomes back there who's one of the smartest quarterbacks when he takes the snap. Now, I'm not giving Jalen Hurts that credit to be one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league, but we do know he's very elusive and he can escape the pocket, and he's proven that he can do that in just about every game that he's played in. So I think the Eagles are definitely going to have to find offense outside of Jalen Hurts. Their wide receivers had pretty quiet days, even with Quez Watkins with the big catch. He only had 2 catches for 114 yards, I believe, on the day. So they got to find other places to generate offense. They got a banged-up tight end. I think Ertz got banged up in that last game, week 2, and you saw a quiet Devontae Smith out there. So I know the Eagles themselves are looking to bounce back. It wouldn't bother me if the Eagles won this game. I hate the Cowboys that much that it wouldn't bother me if the Eagles won this game. And the first 2 weeks, I feel like it's Jalen Hurts against the world. Shout out to Bobby and them Talking Giants. But I feel like it's Jalen Hurts against the world because – people are really hating on this kid. Like, a lot of people think he don't got the skill set to play in this league, but I think you got to give him time to at least get his feet wet, get some experience, especially in this new system with Sirianni, who I think simplifies the game plans for Jalen Hurts to perfection. He knows what his quarterback can and cannot do, and they're putting him in a position to succeed. So for me, I'm looking for the Eagles and Jalen Hurts to come out here and compete with the Cowboys, even though we know the Cowboys have that. The weapons, when we talked about the weapons week 1, we know the Cowboys got big weapons. The health of Amari Cooper is going to be detrimental to this game as well, too. They're going to need him on the field. It seems like in the first 2 weeks, Cowboys have been relatively quiet going to Amari Cooper in the first half, but then in the second half is normally when he turns it up. I know he only had like 3 catches in this last game, but first game had a day. Him and CeeDee Lamb both had a day in week 1. And now you're looking at CeeDee Lamb getting involved in these reverses and these little trick screen plays that they're running. I know Giants fans are looking at the Cowboys with a lot of jealousy right now. Like, yo, can we get Kadarius Toney involved the way they're using CeeDee Lamb? So I'm looking for this game to be actually a pretty good game. I think it'll be a close, high-scoring affair pretty much,
Oh, man, you know what? I'm going to have to pick my scores on the fly.
I always pick the scores on the fly, man.
Nah, see, I've been and right now we are actually both 4-3 in NFC East games picked so far this season.
I went 4-0 week 1.
Yeah, Awthentik started out 4-0, and then kind of
week
went
2
downhill.
fell to 0-3 in week 2, man. I started feeling myself, man, and picking some crazy wins, and that didn't work out. And the Giants let me down. I could have at least got 1 win,
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of those games were super close. I mean, the Cowboys barely won, even though
I'm sure a lot of people went 0-3 in week 2 for the NFC East, right?
Yeah, for sure.
I can't be the only
except
one.
for me, because I picked Washington.
Yeah, your pride
like
kicked in. Like a smart fan.
We'll see how that figures to play in this week, though. It might be a little bit different. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, this week you might not want to go with your pride.
Yeah, for sure. I totally feel like this game is going to be an awesome game. I think it's going to be a great matchup. I'm kind of excited to see Jalen Hurts underneath those bright lights we talked about as far as primetime games go, because I think that he's the type of player and type of person that I think and believe thrives in that sort of atmosphere. And I'm hoping that he will prove that this week on Monday Night Football. And I mean, obviously, like, I talked about, as a Washington football fan, I'm hoping the Eagles win this game. Not just because they playing the Cowboys. I hate the Cowboys, but
Yeah.
because it knocks them down to 1-2, and they have this easy strength of schedule. But the Cowboys, they look a little bit improved on defense. And I mean, we talked about it. A lot of that probably has to do with the subtraction of Mike Nolan, but
Yeah.
Trayvon Diggs has really stepped up. And I say his name a lot because, coming out of I want to say he came out of Alabama. Coming out of Alabama, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was looking like he was going to be a guy, and they used a really nice high pick on him for where they were in the draft that year. And he got thrown into the fire during that whole debacle of a defense last year. And so to see him kind of step up and play the way he's playing, and Micah Parsons looks like he's living up to the hype too, and being able to have flexibility and versatility, finding that out in the second game of his career is probably, the Cowboys are probably licking their chops now, because that probably opens up the door for a whole different, versatility and scheming for the defense.
It does, man. He's an explosive kind of player. He can get to the quarterback. Even when he's not getting sacks, he's still causing problems in the backfield for the quarterback. I like this point by Nicholas right here. I want the Eagles to win because the Cowboys are a much bigger threat down the line, which is true. Like, you want to see the Cowboys lose some games that, like, they're kind of expected to win. And when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles early on paper this season, people really ruled them out. I got the Eagles somewhere at like 5 or 6 wins when we did our predictions, and now, they came out week 1 and just straight up smoked the boots off the Atlanta Falcons, and week 2 now, they look pretty decent. I mean, their offense had a couple of chances there against the 49ers, I thought, early on in that first half to really put that game like kind of out of reach for a team in San Francisco that struggles to put points up on the board. Instead, you watch the 49ers win that game, just by 6 points, I believe it was. I think it was like 17-11. So to me, the Eagles are still in the mix. And I totally agree with Nicholas here that we want to see the Eagles probably get a win here, because down the road, the Eagles will probably fall apart. That's more likely than the Cowboys falling apart, if you ask me.
Yeah, especially with that schedule that the Cowboys have in comparison to everybody else. So
yeah, the start to the schedule is super, super easy for the Cowboys, while Washington and the New York Giants, man, it's about to get brutal.
I swear to you guys, Awthentik and I look at that schedule off air at least like once before the show and once after the show, and we're kind of just both like, I don't remember if it was after Tuesday. I think it was after Tuesday's show when we were looking at the schedules, and I was like, this looks worse
than it did now.
When I thought it looked bad in the beginning.
Facts, bro. Facts, man. It looks crazy right now, man. And I'm definitely worried, because the Cowboys got a bunch of winnable games on their schedule, and now the Giants got to figure out a way. We got to pull out 2 wins back-to-back, to be in this mix early on, or it's going to take a hell of a run in the late second half of the season. But that is the one thing that we did notice on the schedule. Is that towards the end, the last 5 games for the Cowboys are probably more difficult than any other team in the NFC East. They do got a lot of divisional games here, which is crazy. They're going to be playing Washington twice within 3 weeks. You got the Giants between that. But I think that Cardinals game is a really sketchy one. And what's the other one here? The little stretch of Kansas City and the Raiders there, Las Vegas. Because the Raiders are looking really good, man. I told you guys about Derek Carr all year. I've been hammering Derek Carr, like straight up just telling y'all, Derek Carr. He's a guy, top 10 guy. And if the Raiders can find a way under Gruden to win in November and December, that's been the problem with Gruden over there with the Raiders is he can't win when it gets a little colder. If they can be a team that's, to be reckoned with late on in the season, then I'm looking at that game like the Cowboys can probably lose that game. We know what Kyler Murray's doing right now, putting up MVP-type numbers in the first 2 weeks. But he fell off last season, so maybe that game gets a little easier in Week 17 for the Cowboys as the season progresses, but I'm looking for that to be an L as well, too. But you look at early on here, at least the Panthers look a little bit better. That's another difficult game for them, I would say, Week 4. The Panthers coming in one of the better defenses right now, and the Patriots are a little bit of a surprise, I feel like, for some people in Week 6, too. So, the schedule, we'll see. It seems like every week things are getting adjusted on the schedule just a little bit. Hopefully it gets a little bit more difficult. I'd like to see the Minnesota Vikings get a little bit better, so when the Cowboys come out of that bye, maybe the Vikings could hand them an L. And we never know with the Broncos and the Falcons. I mean, Falcons are the Falcons at this point. The Falcons ain't looking too good, so I'm looking for the Cowboys to probably win that game. But right now, I had the Cowboys finishing the season at 8-9, but I will say they look a lot more impressive than the record prediction that I had on that one. So I mean, I guess we can get into some score picks here and get to moving on from this one here, man. I'll start this one off. I think this is going to be a really close game, right? Whew. All right. I'm going to go. I can't pick against the Cowboys. I want to pick against the Cowboys. But you know what? Screw it, man. I'm going my gut. Give me the Philadelphia Eagles in this one. Close game. I think the Eagles are going to take this one 30-28. Cowboys will be driving late, trying to get a game-winning field goal. And that newly improved Eagles defense will come up with a stop, and the Eagles win this game 31-28.
I'm like, it's crazy because literally Muhammad just texted me. He's like, points. I forgot to give him my total points for this game, for the football pool. And I'm like, I'm right there with you because I know in my heart that the Eagles can pull out a victory here. I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet to go with that feeling because the sample size, just that such a great game against the Falcons and kind of like back down to what they were playing like in the end of last year against the Falcons.
You want to pick the Eagles so bad.
I do. I really do. I'm gonna go a little funky here. Not like first season Ty funky. But, I'm going to go funky. I think the Cowboys are going to win by a final score of 29-23.
29-23 Cowboys. I got one last question for you on this one, too. Jalen Hurts was sacked 3 times last week versus the 49ers. Give me a sack number for this game for the Cowboys.
Ooh, Gregory's back. Micah Parsons, we don't know what he's going to do. I'm going to go 3 sacks for Dallas.
I like that.
3 sacks for Dallas.
I'm going to take the over. I'll take the over.
So I'm setting the line, and then you get to pick the over and the under.
Yeah, I'll take the over on that one for sure.
Oh,
all right,
man.
Let's mob into this next game, man. This is an important one for your boys, man. All right, man. Washington beat the Giants on a second last-minute field goal on Thursday night after Dex Lawrence jumped off sides to set up a game-winning 43-yarder. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Joe Judge, you better get it together. A game where the quote-unquote disciplined New York Giants had 11 penalties, but the offense had 0 turnovers in a surprise. Washington looks to get things rolling against the Buffalo Bills, who fell flat week 1 versus the Steelers, but bounced back in a major way against the Dolphins in a 35-0 blowout. The Beard, what's the word for your Washington football team?
The word is win. You got to win. You need to win this game.
Is that the word of the week?
That's the word of the week is just win, baby. I mean, look, this is a true test here. Obviously the hype around Taylor Heineke is real. Yeah, he wants to see. The hype around Taylor Heineke is for real right now. And shout out Taylor Heineke because he was trying to get that deal, the sponsorship with Heineken, right? They wasn't trying to give it to him. So you know what? Like a smart business, Miller Lite stepped in and was like, "Hey, look, buddy, we'll give you a deal. We'll give you a sponsorship deal." So they got this new beer box, and like when you pop it open, it says Light-A-Key. Like Miller Lite.
Oh, Miller Lite
with the key.
They could have did better than that. They could have did better.
They could have did better with that. But hey, shout out to him. He's getting a little bag off of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Got to applaud that.
This is going to be interesting. We're going to Buffalo. I'm not exactly sure how many times we've been to Buffalo since 1987, but I do know we're looking for our first victory against Buffalo since 1987. So
we're not going to get
there. That's a pretty big stat. And look, this Buffalo defense, I remember when Buffalo was just starting to kind of turn the corner, right? And it was a question that we had on Awthentik and The Beard, and we were like, I think Buffalo was maybe like 4-0 or something like that. And we were like, is Buffalo Is Buffalo for real, or is Buffalo, blue cheese? You know what I'm saying? Blue cheese or ranch for Buffalo. That's what we're trying to figure out. But, I was talking about their defense. I've always been a big Josh Allen guy. I thought he was one of the best quarterbacks in that draft just because of his arm strength. and he's had to climb out of that first rookie season, and he showed that he is capable of putting up these big numbers and leading his team in the playoffs. But
For sure.
their defense was what made me believe in them as a team. And right now, their defense is the second best defense in the National Football League through 2 weeks. So this game actually came out. When it came out, Vegas had this game at like 9.5 Buffalo favorites. The number has dropped down all the way to 7.5 and then 7 in some places. So there's a lot of people putting money on, Washington. That's kind of, obviously we're talking about sharp players, not necessarily just the general public betting, but it's dropped all the way down to 7.5, 7 some places. So that gives you a little bit of confidence, because right now in a game like this, you're taking every little piece of confidence you can get because you're going against a better team, at this stage in the game. We got a lot to prove, so offensive line, are they going to be able to block? They did fairly well against the Giants. It cost me, like I said before, he had 50 snaps of pass blocking. It didn't allow any pressure allowed at all. So
and
like
Washington
that's huge.
only allowed 1 sack in the whole game. So
exactly. So that's huge. And so the Buffalo had 6 sacks last week against Miami, albeit some was against Tua before he got put out, but Jacoby Brissett came in. Jacoby Brissett, he's a big dude. He's not an easy guy to take down. He can move around in the pocket somewhat. So still 6 sacks. You can't have that going in this week.
That's a lot. That's a lot, man.
That's a lot. And then defensively, you kind of are looking at Washington, and it's like, okay, how are they going to be able to handle the run? Whether it's Singletary, who's actually playing pretty good football so far. Buffalo has this reputation of not being able to run the ball.
The style
Devin
of offense,
Singletary,
especially that they run. They pass short to compensate for not running the ball. We saw that in the playoffs, and it definitely came back to haunt them in the playoffs too. They needed a running game.
Yeah, and so to see Devin Singletary running the ball as well as he is right now is kind of scary because then you got to think about Josh Allen. You saw what Washington let Daniel Jones do last week. What do you think Josh Allen going to come in and do? Like that's the sort of thing that you kind of got to think about. And so it's almost
28 rushes for 163 yards, 5.8 yards per carry when you factor in Daniel Jones runs with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, and so you're kind of thinking maybe it's a good thing that happened because going into this game, you got to kind of, some film to look at and what mistakes you made against the Giants and allowing Daniel Jones to run the ball, the big run to Saquon, because that's what Singletary's been doing. He's been having these huge chunks of yards on these runs because it's not necessarily running the rock a lot, but he's getting these large, yards per rush.
Yeah, 6.3.
Yeah, 6.3. So
he had 13 carries for 82 yards, which is solid, man. Like that, limited carries with 13. They didn't run the ball a lot. I think Zach Moss had 3 or 4 carries in this game for 20 yards. So, to see them even having any bit of a running game is a surprise to me, and that just adds another weapon. It gives you another way to win games, kind of like what we were talking about with the Cowboys.
Yeah, and Buffalo has a young stud on defense, too. Rookie out of the University of Miami, Greg Rousseau, who's got 2 sacks already. So that's another guy you kind of got to watch out for on the defensive side. And, the big matchup everybody's going to have their eye on is Terry McLaurin versus Tre'Davious White.
Yeah.
Because Terry McLaurin is playing pretty well, but that first game, he only had a few catches on a few targets. Second game, I was begging for it. Just throw the man the rock. He had 14 targets, 11 catches, so that's what you're going to have to do. But if Tre'Davious White is blanketing him, I don't want Taylor Heineke to feel like he has to force the ball.
Which I don't think he'll do. I don't think he'll do that.
We already know Heineke a gunslinger now. We've established that. He is certified,
He's a bit of a
registered, licensed gun slinger.
Now, this is why I think that he won't focus in on Terry McLaurin if he's not going to be open. You got to think about this. 4 players for y'all last week had 5 receptions or more. McKissick, Logan Thomas, Adam Humphries, and Terry McLaurin, they all had over 5 receptions. So the kid is showing that he can spread the ball out. And 14 targets to Terry McLaurin, and you still have that. So Terry McLaurin is that kind of guy. He's that kind of weapon that when you need that reassurance, somebody you can throw it to, 50-50 style, tight window, you could always go to him. And Terry McLaurin's a guy that is almost uncheckable. James Bradbury is a top guy in this league, and he had big problems with Terry McLaurin in that game week 2.
So that'll definitely, when you put it like that, you kind of make me think okay, yeah, but I just don't want to see that interception number start to go up on Heineke. You know, like I don't want to see a 1 touchdown, 3 pick game, 1 touchdown, 2 pick game because you know, like you can kind of get yourself into that sort of situation. And I think a lot of things that will help him with that.
Shout out to homie Benny one time.
Benny,
appreciate you, fam.
$4.99 super chat. Shout out Benny. Go watch.
Let's give a moment of silence for that super chat. All right, back to it. My man Benny.
So the big thing is what can help Washington and what will probably be their downfall, which, you know, happens every game, every week, every year, is third down. The Washington football team on third down is absolutely abysmal. Well, I'm talking about third down everywhere. I ain't talking about just third down on offense or just third down on defense. It's a third down problem. You know, they say a third world problem. It's a third down problem. Okay, so offensively, third
Y'all
down.
now 30% offensively, right?
30.44% to be precise. We've converted 7 first downs on 23 third downs.
That's tough,
okay?
Man. That's tough.
But what's worse, defensively, we are 58.07% to be precise. So we have allowed 18 third down conversions on 31 third downs.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Like you're not going to be like, I don't care what nobody says. Like it's cliche, it's an easy stat, but it's a fact. If you don't win third downs, and that's not like you're not winning third downs. We're talking about a 28% swing here.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like the guy with the glasses who does the map thing on the elections on CNN. You know, like, well, if we can get, 6 third downs out of Washington County and 4 third downs out of Montgomery County, then they might be able to take this third down right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I feel right now. So, like, that's a big issue for me right now.
Hey, look, somebody shouting out, pour out a little liquor off the first joint. Hey, big ups to Alex Vila one time in here, man. Yeah, pour out liquor. That's a classic. That's like 10 years classic right there. Appreciate you bringing that up one time. But yeah, man, I mean, your defense, third down, struggling crazy. Another stat I wanted to talk about with you guys is that pass defense. We know that pass defense was ranked first throughout most of the season last season in 2020. You want to guess where y'all are at through 2 games right now?
No.
24th in the NFL. Y'all are also the 8th most penalized team in the NFL through 2 games. So definitely got to clean that up. The one thing I think that the media is not talking about a lot, right? Week 1, a lot of people saying Chase Young and his defensive line might be overrated, myself included. I wasn't like giving you a lot of Chase Young overrated, but I was saying that the Washington football team defense might be a little bit overrated from the numbers that you saw last season. Why are people still doubting y'all? Y'all got 4 sacks against Daniel Jones. Nobody really said nothing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we got 6 sacks so far through the first 2 games, which, you know, it's not by any means, you know, the top of the best, but it's not by any means like 0 sacks. You know, it's not like we're giving up, 40 points a game. And
right.
I mean, it's just, I talked about this before the season even started. With Washington, you have to really look at the schedule because you're going to be playing 7 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Yeah,
there's no way around it. Like you're going to allow some points, and to me, that's the biggest thing when it comes to defense. Like obviously, winning turnover battles is going to help you win football games. Like that's a huge point. And then third downs is a big statistic, obviously. But like, I don't care if you give up 600 yards a game. I really could care less. You know what I'm saying? As long as those 600 yards aren't turning into 45 points. You kind of get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, bend but
like
don't break.
Me,
have some good red zone defense out there.
That's what they've been able to do so far this year is the bend but don't break defense. And if you look back historically in the last few seasons, one of Washington's biggest issues on defense was giving up the big play, and not just like the big play, but giving up the big play for points. You know, a lot of these sort of 40-yard touchdown passes, 60-yard touchdown runs, those sort of situations that were really hurting the Washington football team. So I think, like, I'm just trying to pull positivity out of this situation is, like, look at those sort of things as things that have been changing as far as this defense goes. Now, with the sack issues and Chase Young and stuff like that, you got to think about this. these teams are literally preparing and scheming for Chase Young. You
Right.
know, so it's they're
Shout
not
out
going
Kyle
to
Rudolph with that block last week too. Whew.
yeah, they're not gonna allow their quarterback to hold on to the ball for too long against this defensive front, you know, because they're designing these plays to get rid of the ball under 2 seconds in some instances. You know, that Justin Herbert there was plays where he was getting the ball out in like 1.8 seconds, you know, like
Yeah.
and it's difficult, especially when you're coming from the edge and you know, there's definitely some technique things that I think Chase Young is working on. And I've seen footage of him, you know, literally after practice working on techniques and different moves, you know, besides just bull rushing, you know. But if you look at the film, I watched every single rush on pass attempts that he had in the Giants game.
Yeah.
And it's not like he's getting he's not even there.
Right.
He's just he's there, you know.
He's just barely missing. He's just not getting there in time.
He's just barely missing, you know. He's just not getting there in time. And to me, that's just like, you know, as a fan, I understand the significance of Chase Young, the double teams, the scheming, the things like that. And if you look at Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, they're having amazing starts their first 2 games of the season. They're some of the highest rated defensive interior linemen in the league.
That your interior is the best part of your line.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. Before Chase Young and Montez Sweat got here, like that was our big thing. You know, you had Payne, you had Allen, you had Ioannidis, you know, even Tim Settle coming in off
on
the bench a lot. Exactly. So it's like, you know, we're still kind of working through this. This is Jack Del Rio's only his 2nd season, you know, full season without COVID.
He's quiet,
situation.
man. You don't see him in a lot of pressers or nothing like that. I forgot he was
y'all
defensive coordinator.
That dude's he's a little
a little off, huh?
He's a little off, man. We're not gonna get into that, but yeah, let's keep him away from a microphone. They had to almost kick him off of Twitter a couple of times last season. So,
oh man,
yeah, like those are the things. Like as a fan, it's easy for you to be like, "Oh, where's Chase Young?" And Chase Young's supposed to be, you know, the best ever. And I won a 6-sack game, and it's like, it's not always going to be like that. Like just
gotta be effective.
We're 2 games into the season. Like nothing boils my blood more than hearing people say Chase Young is overrated.
That's what my dudes would say right there. Nothing boils my blood. Shout out my dudes.
It's just nonsense. So yeah, I think that overrated talk can go to bed. You know, they definitely are. There's some things that they need to work on, and I think, you know, once we get in 4, 5, 6 weeks, we'll see how things are going with Chase. This is a huge game. This will be a great game for them to come out and be like, oh yeah, overrated. Boom, Chase Young, 4 sacks. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think 4 sacks in a game should, you know, the media shouldn't be running with, is Chase Young overrated after, you know, the whole team gets 4 sacks on the day. That's a pretty decent day from your defensive line.
That's what you need the defense is a unit. You know what I'm saying? Like the ability.
Ooh, and you know what somebody said the other day? They said edge rusher is a 2-man job. I love that. Right there. And Montez Sweat makes Chase Young look better, and vice versa. Chase Young makes Montez Sweat look better. And then you got those guys in the interior, you know, really plugging up the run for the most part of the day against the Giants, man, except that big run that Saquon Barkley had. Everything else was pretty much stopped at the line. And when it counted, they made the plays they had to make. When you look at a defense being backed up in the red zone, pretty much to win the game. If the Giants could get 7 there at the end of that game in week 2, you're looking at Taylor Heineke having to come down the field and possibly put up 7, maybe 6 if the Giants don't get the 2-point conversion. But your defense holds up, and 2 running plays result in 2 yards for the New York Giants. And, you know, 3rd down, you get a bad throw from Daniel Jones, and now you just relying on that field goal to go up 1 point. And Washington comes right down the field, set y'all up, perfect situation to get 2 chances at the field goal to win the game. But yeah, I mean, that's what good defensive lines do, and that's what good defensive teams do. And teams that are mentally tough don't jump off sides when it's the last play of the game. So I got to give y'all a little bit of kudos. I think your defensive line is showing improvement, you know. So hopefully here in week 3, y'all can step it up a little bit more. Chase Young can get all the naysayers off his back again. I remember hearing about this talk at the end of last season a little bit too, you know.
In the beginning of the guy from the Washington Post wrote that huge article about Chase Young, and like next thing you know, he went on this rampage, and that's when he started like really blossoming. So like it's just, you know, it's one game at a time. You're not gonna get the highlight reel every week. You know what I'm saying? But it's the dirty stuff that you got to do in the trenches that really makes you a bona fide, defensive star asset to your team.
Yeah, and a good solid season just raises the bar not only for you but the expectation of the fans. So you looking at
it's part of the business. It's part of the game.
Montez Sweat coming in with I think 11 sacks last season. Chase Young had 7.5 last season. So now the expectations are get better. You guys were young in that season. We want to see you have more sacks this year. And in 2 games you're kind of off to what people would call a slower start. I see Lake Nona in the chat one time. Shout out Giants Nation in the building one time. I see you, Bark Nasty as well. What up, fam?
Big shout out to Kevin Stanforth, who came over from over the years. I appreciate you coming through and showing
appreciate
some
you
love
pulling
as well,
up,
brother.
Kev. Appreciate you pulling up, fam. So you got a score prediction for this one already written down, or you freestyling this one too?
I didn't, but throughout that whole time I was talking, I was adding up touchdowns and field goals. So unfortunately, I just haven't seen enough yet. For me, I can see how Washington can win this game.
Yeah.
I'm not one of these people that's just saying there's no way Washington wins this game. And that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is that, what are we are not optimistic.
We're not pessimistic.
Pessimistic.
But we're going to keep it authentic and be realistic.
Exactly. So I have the Buffalo Bills winning this game by a final score of 23-20.
I like the score. I don't think this would be like a super high scoring game.
Yeah, 23-21, excuse me. 23-21.
23-21.
23-21.
Taylor Heineke is an interesting guy because since he's been on the field, your offense moves the ball. He's coming off of a 300-yard-plus passing game against the Giants last week. I'm one that's higher on Taylor Heineke, I think, than a lot of people are. I just think he has that it factor that a lot of people are starting to realize with Jalen Hurts now. Like, sometimes you just got to go win the game. Forget the stats and the completion percentage and the interception, the touchdown to interception ratio, all of that. Sometimes you got to just go out there and win the game. And I think he's going to keep y'all in this game. It'll be close. My score is going to be similar to yours, but I think it's going to be a little bit higher scoring from Washington. So I'm going to go 28-24 Bills in this one. I think we'll be somewhere right around there. I think Josh Allen's going to be a little bit too much. What up, Afghan? I see you in the chat one time. Giants Nation is in the building, as always, man. Appreciate y'all pulling up to this Thursday preview show. We got games here in about 30 minutes before the Texans and the Carolina Panthers get kicked off. We got 2 more previews to get to before the show is over. I say we go. Oh, what up, Kalen? How you living, Caleb? Dragon 56. My man. Let's get to a commercial break real quick. We'll come back. We'll do the Falcons at Giants game. We'll get that Carolina at Texans game, and then we'll get y'all out of here so you can get this kickoff. And if you got any fantasy players in your lineup, you can get to that.
Your wide receiver on IR? Aw, shucks. Your running back keep fumbling every week? Man, damn it all. Well, come chop it up with your boys. We are waiver wire tight. Awthentik and The Beard. Every Sunday morning, streaming live at 11 a.m.
Nice breakdown of the Washington football team. Y'all make sure to check us out on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. The Parlay. We'll be talking fantasy, talking betting, real laid-back vibes. You got any questions about some of your players in your starting lineup or any bets you want to make, pull up, chop it up with your boy Awthentik and The Beard. We ain't gave him one left side.
Strong side. Biceps in the chat.
Let's get them biceps in the chat one time, man, for my brother The Beard one time. So, the Falcons are coming to MetLife Stadium to take on my New York Giants. The Giants will be retiring Eli Manning's jersey at halftime as he is inducted into the New York Giants Ring of Honor. Well-deserved. 2 0-2 teams will duke it out with their seasons on the line. Only 12% of NFL teams that start 0-2 end up making it to the playoffs, and that number drops down to 3.5% if you start 0-3. The Giants are coming off this heartbreaking loss to the Washington football team, but we got 10 days of rest after the Thursday dagger in the heart. Like, yeah, right there. Falcons are coming off a game where they competed for 3 quarters against the defending Super Bowl champions, but Matt Ryan fell short in the 4th quarter, throwing 2 pick sixes to end the Falcons' chances. The Giants cannot fall to 0-3 as they're about to hit the most difficult part of the schedule. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. The Beard, what are your thoughts on this Falcons at Giants matchup?
Well, first of all, I want to give a little bit of love to Daniel Jones. For all the Daniel Jones dollars and Daniel Jones haters. The dude has been playing really good football these first 2 weeks.
Facts.
And, I mean, obviously we're going to go from talking about defense where statistics don't necessarily determine how good or how bad you're playing to a certain extent as an individual. When you play quarterback, the statistics matter. And statistically, Daniel Jones is playing very well right now. Not just throwing the ball, but running the ball too. He's putting up Jalen Hurts-esque numbers on the ground.
They're running backs.
And they're running backs. There's literally starting running backs in today's NFL with the way that they're playing, that position. And he's throwing the ball efficiently and not necessarily the turnovers, that whole, aura and mystique about, Daniel Jones is a turnover machine. He is not a turnover machine so far this year, and you've seen that. And I think Sterling Shepard finally getting his due. Like, I've always been a big Sterling Shepard guy.
Same here.
I remember when we were on with Entertainer and Bad Dog, and they asked me, they said, who's going to be the big guy, that's the big name guy for this Giants team this week? And I said Sterling Shepard, and everybody kind of all looked at me like, like, Sterling Shepard, like you could have picked anybody, but why? Because Sterling Shepard he's the guy that makes a team tick. He's
right.
The guy that does the in the middle of the field, can fight for a first down. He's got a little speed. He's toughness. He's smart. He's going to run the route to the right place to get a first down. He's not going to stop his route in front of the sticks. Those sort of things. And that's what you need, especially when you have a young quarterback and somebody who's, trying to take that turn to greatness. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And statistically, Sterling Shepard is in the top of the league right now through the first couple of weeks in targets, receptions, yards. These are big things to have that sort of, connection with his quarterback while you're trying to work in the new players like Galladay. Slayton's back into a little more of a different role now that Galladay's in there. You're still working with a new tight end because Evan Ingram hasn't played yet. Saquon's back from injury. So to be able to have that something solid, something to kind of like depend on while those other things are Kadarius Toney, while those other things are kind of coming into place, it's important for those to have that solid go-to guy that,
he's a bit of the glue for the New York Giants.
Moving. Yeah, it's super important. And then obviously, besides that, offensively, that line we'll talk about. There's been a couple of injuries, major injuries. Shout out to Nick Gates. I heard he had his second surgery today, so hopefully that goes well.
He's still here in D.C. too.
Yeah, so hopefully that works out, and he can start that journey back to.
Did you hear the news that came out today about that though? They're
there
talking
a reason
that
why
Nick
he had
Gates,
a second surgery.
Well, they're saying that with Gates that might be a career-ending injury.
Like Alex Smith sort of situation?
Like Alex Smith. So he's going to be battling for a long time to get back. His agent said, be sure he's definitely going to be coming back to play football at some point. But the reason why he's still here in D.C. is because I guess they're having complications. That's why he had to have that second surgery.
Yeah, so like that's it sounds like the same sort of situation with Alex Smith, how he had to have, multiple surgeries. So hopefully, it's just that second surgery, and it doesn't have to be like 10 surgeries like the Alex Smith situation. So, thoughts out to him for sure. But, that offensive line, Shane Lemieux now is on IR. So we're kind of like, we got to see how this new look and the switch around of all these offensive linemen, how that's going to work cohesively. And then defensively, like that defensive line, to me, one of the biggest things that, if you're a Giants fan and you watch the games, watch and see if the defensive linemen are getting their hands up on every single play. If you can't the best thing you can do as a defensive lineman is, if you can't get to the quarterback, is to get your hands up. Block those passing windows. If you notice, Matt Ryan, those two pick sixes that happened against Tampa Bay at the end of the game, when they were still in the game at that point, came off of tip passes. So, like, that's something that, if you notice, Matt Ryan can have an issue with, is kind of like those low balls coming off of his hand. Unlike Taylor Heineke, who's everything's high, Matt Ryan's trying to throw them low dart bullets. So, get your hands up, try and create turnovers, even if you don't get pressure on the quarterback. And then the middle of the field, you're going to have to keep your eye on Cordell Patterson, because that guy does everything. And I think he's always been a guy. He's returned kickoffs and punts for touchdowns in Minnesota. He's been in Chicago. He's all over the place. So, like, to see him come out and do well, that'll be –
It's interesting a guy like that kind of moves around the league a lot because he's a baller. Special teams, he's got it on lockdown, and then he's a backup running back. Wayne Gallman ain't getting no carries over there yet, but this could be a revenge game for your boy Wayne Gallman if you could actually get in the game. But
we
Cordell
love
Patterson,
revenge games here
we do.
at Awthentic and The Beard. And then my last guy to keep your eye on offensively for Atlanta and defensively, if you're a Giants fan, is Kyle Pitts.
Yes.
The middle of that field for the Giants defense is as bad as the middle of the field for Washington. Actually, not as bad, but close to as bad as
right
Washington's middle of the field defense. And that's where Kyle Pitts, yes, he is more of a looks and plays maybe more like a wide receiver than a tight end, but that doesn't mean that he's not running it in the middle of the field too. And if I'm Atlanta and I'm game planning and I have Kyle Pitts, I'm putting Kyle Pitts and making sure that linebackers have to guard him, and I'm eating that bowl of soup all game long. So, and then shout out to
check this out too, yo. Pitts has been lined up 35 times in line, on the line, okay? 35 times, 47 in the slot and 28 out split. So they're moving him everywhere they possibly can. I believe he's like 6'6", 260 or 200, something crazy like that. This dude is probably the biggest wide receiver specimen since DK Metcalf. So I think that the whole game plan is going to be predicated around stopping him. But you were going to shout somebody out in the chat, I believe.
No, I was going to shout out Aziz for the Giants, man.
I know he's getting the coverage sacks and whatnot, but I got to see better play out of him. I wanted to also bring attention to somebody else too in the chat.
If he gets one more sack in this game, he's only going to be the 5th person since the year 2000 to get 3 sacks in his first 3 games.
I'm curious to know who the other guys are. I gotta look up that list.
That'd be interesting too.
Is any of those guys, true ballers, Hall of Famers, anything like that?
Or are they 3 sack and done guys?
Exactly. I think Bart Nasty makes a good point here, though. I mean, Ryan and Pitts, they could eat us alive for sure. We know that Atlanta offense wasn't the problem last year, and this year I think that's what surprised Atlanta Falcons fans and supporters is that the offense really ain't been doing much. I know they kind of put up some points there with Tom Brady and them late, but the offense has kind of struggled. And then also DZ in the chat brought up a good point too. Let me see if I can find this one. He was just a little bit back. He was saying how he thinks the Falcons are going to win this game because of what they did against the Bucs offensively. I don't see it. Oh, here we go. Right here. He said, I'm a Bucs fan, but after seeing what the Falcons did, I think they're going to beat y'all, which is a good point because they put up a chunk of points and a chunk of yards against the Bucs, but also Dallas did the same thing. So now has the Bucs defense maybe regressed? I think we're going to find out in this game because the Giants are coming into this game. Defense has been all over the place. Patrick Graham has been struggling with the concepts. The players have been just about a step off, a yard off on seems to be everything. Washington football team ran down and scored a touchdown in 17 seconds in 2 plays, an 80-yard drive on the New York Giants just last week. So I'm really looking for this defense to step up. I think that's going to be an important thing for this Giants defense. And the key is going to be to stop Kyle Pitts. I mean, Kyle Pitts is their offense right now. And I think if Kyle Pitts gets going, that's going to open up things for all the other wide receivers out there. The Falcons are going to be without Russell Gage in this game. And, you got to keep your eye on Calvin Ridley. I mean, that guy's going to be a guy, obviously. He's a number 1 wide receiver. There's a reason why they let Julio Jones go. But right now, Kyle Pitts has the longest passing play for the Atlanta Falcons at 24 yards. So they have struggled to throw the ball down the field. If I'm the Giants, I force them to prove that they can do that early on. Last week, Kyle Pitts, 6 targets, 5 catches for 75 yards, and he did it in a multitude of ways. The dude is definitely a baller. I know you talked about him being the highest tight end taken in a really long time in the top 5 there. He's definitely showing out. But the Falcons, man, I'm just worried about them on third downs. That you talked about third downs with the Washington football team. What up, Lax? The Falcons are 9 of 29 on third down in 2 games. Defensively, they've allowed 80 points in 2 games. So just offensively and defensively, they look really bad out there. I think Daniel Jones, if Garrett can supply the right game plan and go back to the RPO and keep them off balance, let's do some RPOs where we give the ball to Saquon too, but, that's going to be up to Daniel Jones to be able to read that. And if Daniel Jones got to tuck and keep the ball, then do that. But let's rely on him as a runner. He's been the leading rusher in both of the first 2 games. The Giants' offensive line has been shaky, so I think that the RPO also keeps pass rushers off balance as well. We've given up 6 sacks. We're tied for fourth worst in the NFL through 2 games. And now we're coming into this game, like you mentioned, a little bit more banged up with Nick Gates out for the year. Shane Lemieux is on IR. Giants fans kind of knew that Shane Lemieux wasn't going to be a factor for at least a good, I'd say 3 to 8 weeks here at least. And now he's on the IR. Sterling Shepard's been the main backbone of this offense, and I know Giants fans are just waiting and waiting and waiting for Kenny Golladay to have these breakout plays that we signed him for. We paid this guy big money. But I think that the one thing is with Kenny Golladay is like you overpay for top dollar free agent guys. It's just a thing. It happens. We were in that group thread. I was talking about this with Zeke Elliott. People were like, oh, that contract looks crazy now. At the end of the day, when you show and prove you deserve the contract, I think the Cowboys are well aware of what they got in Zeke Elliott. To pair him with a guy like Pollard is just amazing. You look at it like you're spending the big chunk of money for the 2 running backs. Pair him with a rookie guy there with him the whole time. Things should work out. I'm wondering why the Giants have not done that with Saquon Barkley. I'm waiting for Gary Brightwell to get on the field a little bit more because what I'm seeing from Booker has not been great. 2.7 yards per carry is not going to cut it. I don't care how many carries you getting, 2.7 is not going to cut it. We know the Giants have a lackluster offensive line, but we need a guy in here who's going to get yards that are straight ahead. I want to take this back to that Brandon Jacobs, Amon Bradshaw vibes. To do that, it's going to take another running back, whether it be a power running back or even a guy like when you see the Giants released Corey Clement, it's like, why didn't we keep him around? He's been a proven guy who can make plays when he was in Philadelphia with the Eagles for a long time. And now we're kind of just struggling to find out who's going to be that second running back. And another statistic I wanted to touch on was if you look at the Giants game with the Washington football team, it reminds you of last season. Last season, what was the Giants' problems? They couldn't finish out when it was the end of the second quarter, and they couldn't finish out games in the fourth quarter. Now, just in 2 games now, the Giants are ranked 29th in points scored in the second quarter and in points allowed in the second quarter and points allowed in the fourth quarter. We're ranked 29th. We're allowing 12 points in 2 games in the second quarter, and we're allowing 11.5 points in the fourth quarter in 2 games.
That's what we like to call here
a nugget alert.
In the beard, a nugget.
Yeah, that's a nugget. We got to finish games, man. Like they're playing well in the first quarter, they're playing well in the third quarter, and they're not finishing in the second right before the half. Teams manage to come down the field and put up points on us with time running out, and same thing happens in the fourth quarter. Defense completely fell apart. Now, when I was talking about Kyle Pitts moving around a lot on this Atlanta Falcons offense, to me, this is going to be up to a few players on the Giants defense to step up and really just cancel out Kyle Pitts and be an X factor in this game for the Giants. I think that Blake, my man, Sir Nago time, nugget alert. I think Blake Martinez is going to be a guy who's going to have a really good game, not only in stopping the run, because Atlanta scooped up, that was Mike Davis, I believe they scooped up from the Carolina Panthers, who's been decent. Yep. They talked about 2/3 of Mike Davis's yards come after contact. That's a key stat for me because that means the Giants, who have been poor in tackling for the first 2 weeks, need to step it up in these games. Now, Giants only had 1 sack versus Washington football team, so it's going to start with some pressure, and then I need to see Blake Martinez in coverage in this game do a better job. Are they going to have somebody shadowing Kyle Pitts? Because we don't want to see what happened to Adoree Jackson on the touchdown with Seals Jones against the Washington football team, where they pretty much just put the ball high and away. Fantastic throw from Taylor Heineke. But a guy who's smaller than Adoree Jackson, even trying to, get his hand in there, couldn't make the play. So my thought would be in this game is to have somebody shadow Kyle Pitts. I'd put my best player on him. I'd put Logan Ryan on him the whole game.
Do you think they're going to give him that sort of respect, or do you think they kind of are going to bounce that idea of shadowing not just on Pitts but on Ridley also? Because, I mean, in reality, they don't – I mean, can you name another wide receiver on their team besides Ridley and Pitts right now because Gage is out? Right. What's the dude's name? Zacharias?
Yeah, Zacharias, whatever. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be a guy we're not game planning for. But with James Bradberry out there on the edge, I would have James Bradberry following Ridley throughout the game for the most part. And then I take my best player who I know can make plays and can also make tackles on a big guy, which to me is Logan Ryan. I get him out there. If it's going to be Jabril Peppers, that's cool too, but Jabril Peppers is going to have to step up and have a major game here. The Giants, like I talked about before, they allowed 336 yards to Taylor Heineke. The week before that, we allowed 300 to Teddy Bridgewater. This is set up for Matt Ryan to come out here and put up big numbers. Antonio Gibson in the running game, he averaged 5.3 yards per carry. He had 69 rushing yards. We stopped the run a little bit better week 1 against the Broncos, but then Melvin Gordon breaks that big run late to kind of pad the stats a little bit, and now you're looking at a Giants team who is struggling to stop the run and really struggling to stop the pass. So for me, I think you got to put your best player. Whoever you think is the guy who can match up against Kyle Pitts best, put him out there on Kyle Pitts. We need to have a step-up game from Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence. That is going to be important. Y'all see what's going on the edge with the New York Giants. We struggling out there with O'Shane Ximines, and we're struggling with Lorenzo Carter out there. These guys are generating no pressure off the edge. It seems like it's the opposite with the Washington football team, where like all y'all pressure is coming off the edge to force the quarterback to step up and go back in. I would like to see that out of the New York Giants. Like forget the inside, bro. Play contain, play outside, get to the quarterback, try to force Matt Ryan into some turnovers. Maybe we get a strip sack, something like that, to be able to get the Giants into a good field position and be able to score early. Do not go down early in this game. This is not the game to mess around and go down early and be down 14-3 or something like that at the half or even at the end of the first quarter. Definitely going to have to step it up. For me, the keys to victory in this are a lot about what I talked about with the defense, so it's got to be better defensive play. Patrick Graham, I need you to get it together. Logan Ryan told fans, don't panic. We're not going to change what we do as far as our philosophy, our technique, and what paying attention to details. He's not going to change the guy who he is. He's just going to get back to work and try to get better week to week, and I love that because we need this defense to get better. I've been talking about this defense being overrated entering 2021. If they can get better week to week, maybe by the end of the season, we're looking at maybe a top 10, maybe a top 15 defense. But at the moment, this defense is looking pretty horrible out here. Another key to victory is going to be to get Saquon Barkley involved in this game. This Falcons defense is full of a bunch of no-namers, right? So we got to figure out a way to get the running game going. I think in return, that's going to open up things for Kenny Golladay on the outside. Sterling Shepard's going to continue to do what he does. I'm looking for Slayton to bounce back and have a big game after the big drop against Washington football team. And I'm looking for this offense to continue to keep moving the ball and play mistake-free football. I don't want to see turnovers against a team like the Falcons. Daniel's got to take care of the ball. And in return on defense, I want to force the turnovers. Got to force Matt Ryan to do something where he turns the ball over. What I'm noticing about Matt Ryan now as a OG, elderly kind of quarterback, when he's in the pocket, he almost needs a walker. He's not going to escape from the pocket. He is not going to escape from the pocket. So apply that pressure. I'd like to see a little bit more blitz early on when you do have the time and the point differential on the board is not too crazy, where we could send some blitz, try some things out, play a little bit risky in the first half, and hopefully the Giants are up by a couple touchdowns at the half, and then we can just put our foot on the pedal and really take charge of this game. This is a must-win for the Giants. Last week was feeling like a must-win. This one here is a must-win because if you lose this game, I know a lot of Giants fans are going to lose hope for the season here. And I'm looking for Jason Garrett to piggyback off what he did in the Week 2 game against Washington. I thought he called a fairly good game plan during Washington. A little bit of clock management that I'll blame on him and on Joe Judge at the end of that game. 2:16 left in the game. Washington has 3 timeouts. There's no way you can only allow 16 seconds to come off the clock and give the Washington football team 2 minutes to drive down the field and end the game on you. So I want to see a little bit of better clock management, better discipline. The 11 penalties against Washington, that's not okay. Got to adjust that, got to fix that. Special teams, get better. And maybe we see Kadarius Toney make an appearance in this game where he's actually a factor while he's on the field. I saw somebody in the chat comparing it to Odell Beckham, who had his breakout game against the Atlanta Falcons in his rookie season. A lot of football left. A lot of football left. The Giants got a lot of time to do things, but the clock starts ticking right now. They got to get out here and get a dub against the Falcons. Home game, Eli Manning watching, jersey retired. To me, that pressure kind of scares me a little bit. The Giants like to fold in these kind of games, but I'd like to see them come out here and not shoot themselves in the foot and get a W and get into this win column. That's most important because we know in the years past, Giants started off 0-5. We had another season where we started off 0-6. That can't happen. This late second half of the season kind of run, we got to get rid of those vibes. Let's put this team where they were supposed to be when we saw this team on paper, get this win that's expected, and then go into week 4 against the Saints and take care of business, and maybe the Giants can put together a back-to-back winning streak here in these 2 games coming up.
And I think I wanted to bring this up really fast because I think this is kind of, important too. Like,
facts.
To come off of a loss like that type of loss, and now you got 10 days and you're going against a team that is, not looks good at all in their first 2 weeks. Like that's going to be an important, like, those sort of the things that are going to come into play here if you don't perform well in this game. So I think that they're definitely going to feel the pressure, but not like in a negative way, like in a positive way, because I think sometimes people hear the word pressure and they feel like it's like a negative condensation of the word and in the context, but sometimes pressure is a positive thing. And I think that if they flip it like, okay, look, we got 10 days, you know what I'm saying? Like, we was talking all this talk about how the offense was rusty from the beginning of the season. Like, now we got 10 days. What are we going to do? What is the game plan we have to implement to really come out of here? And like you said, don't fall behind early. Come out, put some points on the board, play the defense that you're supposed to play. I mean, like, everything's kind of lined up here for the Giants to succeed. And that's how you need a game like this after those first two losses to kind of get the ball rolling as a team in general and as a whole. And it's just, it's going to be very interesting. I think the Giants have an opportunity here to, like, literally change around their entire season. And the point that you brought up too about the nugget, you know what I'm saying? The second quarter and fourth quarter thing.
Oh yeah.
It's insane to me how undervalued that last 2 minutes of a half of the first half can be sometimes. Because like, when you're from a fan perspective, right? Whether you're playing Madden or you're watching your team or you're watching a game you have a bet on, right? You always thinking ahead, like, all right, so if I can score here before the half and I get the ball back in the second half, so you can, the point swing difference between what happens in the last 2 minutes of a first half of a football game and the opening drive in the second half is so incredibly important.
And you can date back to the Broncos game in week 1 where the Giants offense was on the sidelines for an hour of real time because the Broncos scored on an 8-minute drive before going into the half, and then they got the ball in the second half and they had another 8-minute drive. So that those kind of things can't happen. A lot of people gonna overlook that, but those are the reasons why teams lose, and it feels like your team didn't have enough opportunities to put points on the board, because in the Broncos game, both teams had, I want to say actually the Giants had 9 drives and the Broncos had 8 drives. But if you just watch that with your eyes and really don't pay attention too much, it feels like the Broncos had the ball for so much longer than the Giants. And on the time of possession, they actually did. They had the ball for 10 more minutes of game time, actually. So, it's super important that you finish out in the second half. If you're going to be kicking off the ball at the half, it's very important to not let a team score in those last 2, maybe even those last 5 minutes, just ending your half with another team scoring and then getting the ball at the half. That's double whammy for you if you're the New York Giants.
Big shout out to Lax044 for the $4.99 super chat. Says Garrett needs to chill with the constant curl routes. Need to take more chances downfield.
Yeah.
And Marjorie says, curling should be for your hair only.
Yeah, and the Olympics. I love the curling in the Olympics. They be just sweeping that ice, right? Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. Garrett, the curl route is an interesting thing, man. The curl route is supposed to set up stuff down the field, I like, and I saw somebody talking about the Kurt Warner video in the chat. Y'all know I've been promoting that Kurt Warner video for like 5-6 days straight, man. Great video. And there was one play there where he talked about the influence routes, about how when you're running a route that's just supposed to take the safety out, influence that route towards the safety a little bit more to go across him so that maybe you can give Daniel Jones another option. I hope Jason Garrett and Daniel Jones were paying attention to that video, man. That video was full of nuggets. All the comments were saying we need Kurt Warner as our offensive coordinator in the comment section, which was pretty cool. It's awesome to see Kurt Warner breaking down stuff like that. That's the kind of insight that I want as a fan of football, and somebody who prides themselves on knowing a little bit about the game, but not knowing the deep details of the X's and O's like that. Like Kurt Warner played quarterback for a Super Bowl winning team, MVP of this league. This dude is very proven, knows what he's talking about when it comes to schematics on the offensive side of the ball. Love what he said about when you send Galladay on that fly route as a decoy, have him run the 18-yard comeback with it. In case Daniel Jones doesn't have any options, you can bail out as a last resort play to get to that 18 comeback, which is, I know y'all don't want to see comebacks and curl routes, but if they're at 18 yards, I'm totally cool with it. And let's start stretching the field vertically, man. Everybody knows that's a problem with the Giants, and everybody also knows that Daniel Jones' his deep passing is very accurate. He was number 1 in the league last year, but his attempts were very low. I think he had it was somewhere between 14 and 18 completed on 36 attempts. So the kid's balling. He's proven that he can throw the ball down the field. Man, and seeing Daniel Jones in person, the dude is just like, that's a quarterback. I remember Peter Rosenberg told us that when he came on the show. He said, man, when I met Daniel Jones, you shake his hand and you're like, yo, that's a quarterback. He's a big, tall guy. Colin Cowherd said the same thing. Colin Cowherd's like, I'm like 6'2", and when I walk in a room with Daniel Jones, he's towering me. So I like Daniel Jones moving forward. He proved what he can do against Washington, and now it's just about proving what you can do against the other 31 teams or 30 teams in the NFL, because you got the Giants in the mix there too. And I think Daniel Jones could be the guy moving forward. I know a lot of fans are down and out about this team, Bark Nasty being one of them. He's like, we lose this game, you got to clean house and let everybody go. I think you got to give them the season, man, and just see what they can do, man. This is why they play the games. We've seen teams go on mega runs, man, like mega runs. I remember Philadelphia went on a crazy run a couple years ago where they started off so terrible, ended up ending the season with a winning record and winning the division. So, I mean, you never know, man, especially in the NFC East. You never know.
Yeah. I think this is it. The Giants are gonna pull this one out. I have faith in this.
Is this your first time picking the Giants this year? Did you pick us against the Broncos?
Yeah. No.
It's gonna be your first time. Okay. All right, Beard. Come on, give us some luck, man. Give us some luck. Come on.
All right. So I think the Giants are gonna come out on top in this game. I think the Daniel Jones, Sterling Shepard connection continues. I don't think it's gonna be as easy because if you've learned anything about the NFC East, we don't do anything easy. Everything is more difficult than it needs to be. So I'm going to go with the New York Giants winning this game by a final score of 27-24.
27-24. Close affair, man. You know I'm picking the Giants Nation. Y'all know what it is, man. I'm confident in them boys in this game. Give me my Giants in this one. I think it's going to be not even as close as a lot of people are looking at this game. I'm taking my Giants to win this game 34-19 against the Atlanta Falcons. Ooh. Atlanta Falcons are just as desperate to get this win as the New York Giants. They're not looking at they're not looking at their schedule going, hey, we're the worst team in the league, man. Let's just give this one away. Nah, I've been tuning into a couple of Falcons content creators. They're confident in this game. They think they're actually going to win this game. So for me, give me that score right there. I think I just said 34-19. The New York Giants. And yeah, let's get the season rolling. Let's go get that back-to-back W. Let's go take care of Jameis Winston. But first, we got to focus on Matty Ice and the Atlanta Falcons in Week 1, man. So I'm looking forward to it, man. What is that, a 1 o'clock game on Sunday?
Yeah, we're both at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
So that means I'm not getting my game on TV in the Washington, D.C. market. I'm going to have to pull an NFL bite move on that one and stream this game. But, yeah, as long as I can see my Giants, it's not a big deal. And I'm going to definitely be tuned into the homie Entertainer Talking Sports. Y'all know how him and Bad Dog do the play-by-plays. Best on YouTube doing the play-by-plays. Oh, man, this is beautiful. Go ahead, Tim. Let's take care of that.
Shout out to Waterfly for the $2 super chat. $9.99
You be reading every 9. I'll be keeping up with you.
Every single 9.
That's what's up, man.
Can't short my man Waterfly.
Facts, man. So look, let's just get on this quick preview for the Carolina Panthers and the Texans game and get y'all out of here. Kickoff is about to start right now. The Panthers take on a Texans team that many thought would struggle to win a game without Deshaun Watson, but the Texans surprised many and came out the gates with a Week 1 win versus the Jaguars, but now are dealing with another quarterback out of the lineup. Davis Mills is going to get the start tonight versus the Panthers, with Tyrod Taylor nursing a hamstring injury and on the IR for at least 3 weeks. I'm praying for Tyrod Taylor, bro. He was off to a fantastic start. He's a good quarterback in this league when healthy. This seems to be the problem with him every time he does get an opportunity. But Mills is going to be coming in to get the start here. Mills has only played in 14 total college games with COVID-19 putting an end to his 2020 season. He was selected in the 3rd round, 67th overall in the 2021 NFL Draft by the Houston Texans. He's out of Stanford. Smart kid. Going to be a tough game for the kid versus Panthers. They're seeking their first 3-0 start in 6 seasons. Kickoff is about to be happening here at 8:20 right now on the button on NFL Network. Does Matt Rule have what it takes to get the Panthers to 3-0 for the first time since 2015, where the Panthers started off, believe it or not, 14-0 before losing their first game?
I forgot about that team.
That was a good squad, man. Shout out Ron Rivera one time. Cam Newton, yes, sir.
Look, yeah, I'm starting to believe more and more in Matt Rule as a head coach. I think they've put together quite a team here. What's funny is that I think about this team and I think about the offensive weapons. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey. Sam Darnold's coming around, and he looks like
How about it?
It might have been a New York Jets thing and not a Sam Darnold thing.
I tried to tell y'all should have made that move.
I am not a Sam Darnold guy. I never have been since he played at USC, and because
a lot of people aren't Sam Darnold guys. To give you some props on that, though, I will say that a lot of people hate Sam Darnold.
But I mean, I'm one to admit, obviously, he looks really good so far. I mean, obviously, we're 2 games in. Last time Sam Darnold played on a Thursday night game, I believe, was the I Saw a Ghost game. So it'll be interesting to see how he bounces back from that sort of situation. Christian McCaffrey went to Stanford. Andrew Luck went to Stanford. Davis Mills went to Stanford. So I am a big Davis Mills guy. I can tell you I was actually with Cernock, who's a Houston Texans fan. We were eating at a bootleg Chipotle called Moe's or something like that in deep South Virginia, during a crazy yard sale run, and they drafted Davis Mills, and we were both kind of like, really? And I thought it was an interesting pick then, and it turns out that it was probably a good pick. It's to have somebody behind, Tyrod Taylor because of his injury history. Unfortunate because the kid, he's not a kid anymore, but Tyrod Taylor was balling. Even before he got hurt, he was 11 or 12 or 10 of 11 in that game. So it's unfortunate, but I think this game's going to be a lot closer than people are talking. The Panthers have a great young defensive players. They have right now the best defense statistically in the entire National Football League through 2 weeks. But I love J.C. Horn. I think J.C. Horn is a stud on the defensive side of the ball, playing corner for them. He had an interception last week, and everybody already knows Jeremy Chin. Jeremy Chin has been balling since day one when he got there last year. A lot of people thought that he should have won Rookie of the Year over Chase Young. So, this defense and all this, the Panthers kind of have a very complete team. A great running back.
Let me pause you real quick while you're talking about Chase Young, because somebody in the chat had a question for you one time real quick.
Yeah. So I have not seen the Bobby.
I did see the Talking Giants breakdown. Great offensive line breakdown, by the way, for the
Giants.
I know.
And that's the thing too, is it's interesting to listen to him because he's so good breaking down the offensive line that it's that probably helps you looking at some of the defensive players as well across that defensive front.
You agree or disagree with that?
I don't think it's an agree or a disagree. When you say a better pass rusher,
that's their job. Don't make it too difficult. We're running out of time.
Okay, no, I don't agree. I don't agree. Listen, I'm a Montez Sweat guy. I think Montez Sweat and Chase Young are probably going to go neck and neck every single year for their entire contracts in sacks. So I think Chase Young is a little bit more naturally freakish, and that says a lot because Montez Sweat is a freak of an athlete myself. Montez Sweat reminds me of Julius Peppers.
Facts.
That's who Montez Sweat reminds me of. And Javon Curse.
Who was the homie that the Colts had that was a good edge rusher for a while?
Robert Mathis.
But Dwight Freeney. That's kind of who he remind me of. A little bit lighter, but a bit like Dwight Freeney.
Yeah, so I kind of think they're gonna go neck and neck. It's not nothing against Montez Sweat, and I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, then that might be great because if Montez Sweat is better than Chase Young, and Chase Young is as great as he is, then man, we got 2 great people on the outside of the edges. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think regardless, y'all have a great front. That's not gonna be an issue, man. But I was trying to tell you about your boy Sam Darnold, man. He's looking pretty good. Last week had 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. The one blemish was the interception. On the season, he's 68.5%, averaging 292 yards per game. His quarterback rating through 2 games is 100.5. I'm high on Sam Darnold right now because he's paired with the right coach. The Jets are a mess. It's hard to see. You've seen it with Zach Wilson right now. he's just struggling over there. But Christian McCaffrey, I think, is going to be a key for the Panthers' offense in this game. But the defense will probably be the ones who are doing a lot more of the work. The Panthers' defense is only allowing 190 yards per game total. That's first in the NFL. Teams only converting on 25% of third downs versus the Panthers. That's also first in the NFL. And the Panthers' defense made Jameis Winston look like Jameis Winston. They forced 2 interceptions. They had 4 sacks on Jameis Winston in that game. So I'm looking for their defense to really be the standout to get them the W in this game. Texans defense kind of was a surprise as well, too. You know, they got an interception versus Baker Mayfield. They got 3 in the first week. Yeah, you know, they held Baker Mayfield to 213 yards, but this is the crazy part right here. Baker was 19 of 21. So if you take away the interception, only had 1 pass hit the ground. Yeah. So I think this is going to be a pretty big blowout. I know they probably just kicked the ball off right here. I'm looking for the Panthers to win this game convincingly, man. I think it'll be somewhere around like, I just think the young quarterback's going to struggle. You know, he's kind of being thrown out here to the Wolves a little early. Give me 28-10 Panthers. I'm going to go 28-10 Panthers.
I'm going to make it a little bit closer because I kind of want to see Davis Mills perform
because you got them rookie cards in the plastic right now.
I'm going to go Panthers 24, Texans 17.
Texans 17, 24-17. All right.
Yep.
I feel like I pick that score a lot, 24-17. Every time I pick it, it never goes.
Every time because it's a good score.
It is a good score, right? Mr. Mini Guy says Panthers get the dub.
Like 45 to 7.
Yeah,
we've
that's
done
true.
those a few times, and then we've come back.
These Thursday night games have been solid. I know, last year and previous to that, Thursday night games be terrible. The matchups have been like awful matchups that just don't work out well, be low scoring. Shout out Zach one time in the building. Cheers to you too, fam.
Cheers.
Hope y'all having a good brewski for this Thursday night game. But Waterfly, cheers to you too. I see you in the building. What's up, fam? But yeah, man, I'm taking the Panthers for this one convincing. And this will be a breakout game for the Panthers, I think. I think this will really put the league on notice. I think people are kind of like, Panthers, Matt Rule, 2 games, 2 wins. Yeah, they played the first one versus the Jets. Jets are some trash.
Every single team that went 3-0 last year made the playoffs.
Oh, that's a nugget. Nugget alert.
Nugget alert.
Yo, man, but it's been a great show. We an hour and a half almost in now, man. We really appreciate everybody pulling up, man. Giants Nation stays in the building one time. I saw a bunch of Washington football team people in the building tonight. We gonna keep this here for y'all. This is for Washington football team fans and for New York Giants fans. Y'all know what it is one time, man. That's how we do out here, man. We in Washington, D.C., representing hopefully the 2 best teams in the NFC East when all said and done. Cernox says, Nugget alert finale. I feel you on that, man. You got anything else for the people, Beard, before we get up out of here?
Nah, man, just make sure you guys check us out Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time because Awthentik has been giving out insane picks
the
for
boy been on
the
fire.
bets in football. So do not sleep on the parlay. Tell a friend to tell a friend because Awthentik and The Beard are here to help you make some dollar bills. Y'all,
dollar bills,
we are not
y'all.
Financial advisors, and this is not
Facts.
financial
Disclaimer.
advice. But I am The Beard, and he is Awthentik, and this is Awthentik and The Beard.
Facts, man. Shout out to all the moderators holding us down one time. We appreciate y'all. We couldn't do this without y'all, man. And speaking of what The Beard just said about tell a friend to tell a friend, that's how I like to network and how to build this community and make it a bigger community because now we built trust with y'all. I get down with y'all. Y'all the fam now. You know what I'm saying? Y'all my day ones now because when Awthentik and The Beard first started off and these live streams only had 1-2 people in them, one of them being me streaming from my other computer, y'all was the day ones who showed up. So salute to y'all, man. And we got something real special we're going to announce next week. And I haven't ran this by The Beard yet, but I want to do something for the moderators one time, man. But we appreciate y'all pulling up. I'm Awthentik. That's The Beard. Left side.
Strong side.
Y'all be safe, y'all. Be good.
Thursday night football.
Peace.